Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 482, and this week we're doing a one-shot on Henkaipan. I'm Dakazu, and with me is Darfox8,
Hello, everybody.
Morgana Sanpili,
Hi there.
and Seamus2389.
Taiki's still in Japan.
I think his mic isn't working. Hold on.
Hello.
Hey, there he is.
Some wire came loose. Yes, I'm back from Japan.
Yeah, Seamus went on a vacation to Japan at the end of last year to go see some wrestling.
I think it was more than some. It was about 18 shows in total.
That's crazy.
So wait, I'm sorry, 18 shows in how many days?
I think I arrived on the 23rd. So between the 24th and the 4th. How many days is that?
That is a week and 4 days, so a week and a half. Like 11 days.
Definitely more than a show a
12,
day.
12 days.
12 days. And not all days you had wrestling. I know you had a couple days off. So some days you went to 3 shows?
Like one day I went to 3 shows. There was one, I think the only day I didn't go to wrestling show was the 26th because there was nothing on that I wanted to go to.
The day after Christmas. How funny.
Yes. Because it was, I think it was like a Tuesday. So it was like it was like kind of that from the 29th to the 4th, because that's, I guess, when it's like all a public holiday over there. That's when it's like they're running multiple shows a day on weekdays, so it's not just on the weekend.
That is so much wrestling. Are you sick of wrestling?
No, I when I was leaving, I was like, I'm back to this fucking dump of a country with its fucking shit crowds. That's my thought process. I was just like,
Well,
I
that's your
think it was
problem with
like,
it.
this is what American wrestling, the crowds need to be like. I think they need to start mass banning people.
Like
Like-
all the idiots.
Here's what you do. You bring a sign, banned. Stupid chant, banned. Try to be funny, banned. Talk too much, banned. Spend any time watching Botchamania or any Botchamania related accounts or anything like that, banned. And at that stage, you might raise the floor up to like, okay, it's actually worth my while going to this show, and I'm not going to be here like, why the fuck am I here? Why did they pay money to be one of these people?
Seamus doesn't have to pull out his Kindle and sit on like the hard cam reading his Kindle.
Well, to be fair, I did that during a couple of shows in Japan, but like, it's more, I'm just not in the crowd being like, I shouldn't be, like, I'm better off watching this at home. There's no point being here. This is like aggravating me to be among these people. Or at least over there, I was like, this crowd's grand. This is a great crowd.
You enjoy the Japanese crowd aesthetic, huh?
Yeah, they said, they chanted the wrestlers' names, they cheered, they booed, no dumbass chants, no talking.
Very respectful.
I don't know where they were respectful, but they weren't like, I don't know, fucking trying to be fucking characters on fucking TV.
No fight forever
Amazing.
chance.
No, God. There was one table chant. There was like, was it a Maki Ito, Yamashita match? But I was just like, well, that makes sense because, I don't know, it's like a GCW match. That wasn't a good match. Well, I didn't go to Japan to go see a GCW match. I guess I'll say that much.
Yeah, cross off pro wrestling on your bingo card. We gotta talk about it since Seamus did. That was the major reason he went to Japan.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to be seeing much of it over here live anyway. So, although I'll probably, I don't know, I might go to Mexico before the year's out. They're the other like good crowd country.
Amazing.
We don't have to spend too much time on it, but tell us about the 666 gay wrestling show with like the dong, like
But the dong belt.
the dong belt, the belt with like an ornament that looks like a cock and balls.
Yeah,
Hold on,
you didn't
let me
know
get a
this was a gay wrestling event until you got there? Because it was in the gay district of Tokyo, right?
Hold on. Let me get up the actual name of this promotion. So
Oh, actually, I could bring up a picture of the dong belt. Seamus, if you don't mind me stealing your intellectual property.
I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, you can show it. Okay, yeah. So it's Shinjuku Nikome, which I think
Nichome, yeah, Nichome.
It's
That's
like
the gay
Shinjuku
district.
number 2. Is that what
Mhm.
it's? Yeah. Began as a career for gay. I'm reading this on Wikipedia. She began as great only Betty. So this was like the day before. Like I saw him retweet. Like there's a bar nearby where this wrestler, Natsu Sumare, she like runs it. I think so. It's kind of like a wrestling team thing. And I follow a guy who's a translator, English Japanese translator. I think he was like tending bar there. And I was like looking at. I was looking at the image, and I was like, this does not look like the card for a normal wrestling show. And I was like, I should actually look up what the fuck this is because I realized it's not a 666 show. So then I looked it up and I was like, okay, now I know what this is. It wasn't really like there was some bit of wrestling, but it was more like I don't know what you
hangout.
call it. Not really a hangout. Like it was in like what was it, the Shinjuku Star Theater. So it was just like this like basement theater. There was like maybe 100 people there, and there was like a little kind of stage thing at the front with a mat. But it was more like I don't know, like a variety show or a cabaret show. I don't know what exactly you call it. Like there was a bit of wrestling, but there was also like
Crowd.
Twister.
I heard there was crowd interaction, and you got involved. You were
Yes.
picked.
I was picked. There was one guy I got on stage and did. Is it Jankin? Do you know the rock paper scissors thing?
Yeah, you said it was the get naked Junkin.
Yes.
The Yakuken.
There was Twister. What else was there? They actually did wrestling where like they had 2 balloons attached to like their crotch, and you had to like basically burst the balloon. That's how you won. Which actually, I was like, okay, that's actually a fairly cool idea because it like makes it's like they're still doing wrestling, but it's like totally changed like what you're meant to be doing. And I think there was a battle royal where like the person was knocked out when they like lost their underpants, which in one guy's case meant totally naked.
This is like way toned down Dick Fight Island.
Yeah.
Like extremely toned down.
There wasn't that much. Like there was only like 2 dicks that I saw. Like 20 wrestlers.
Wait, actual live dicks?
Oh yeah, actual live dicks. Cock and balls.
Wow.
I can't figure out if
Getting
one
your
of them
money's
was it like he just
A
fucked
prop.
up? But the second one was
dick
definitely
slip?
deliberate. Yes.
Wardrobe malfunction.
I think you mentioned that like you didn't know if this was going to be like a crowd of straight ladies or what, but it was mostly gay crowd. It seemed. Is that right?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I think it was like 50-50 split, like men versus women.
Mm.
I don't know after that. Like it was like I nearly say you could nearly go to it even if you don't like wrestling if you just wanted like a kind of like unusual experience. Like there's no way I can't imagine anything like that like happening here in the US or like that particular way. Like
Yeah.
Sounds like
That
it
makes
was
sense.
a worthwhile experience.
yes, it was worth going to once. I don't know would I go to it again. Maybe if they were like actually they'll change it up radically. But it was like that, and I don't know. There was the Exit Pro show, which is like at the back of a wrestling shop. The Go to Move show, which is like in a converted Dinta Square, which had a mat as well. They were like nice. They were like different wrestling from all the other shows, which like 11 of the shows I went to were in Corrigan. So it was like a nice kind of like change of pace.
Yeah, one of the shows you went to is like a wrestling memorabilia store, which I've been to. We talked about that because they have a little ring in the basement area.
No, it was on the first floor. So like you go
okay.
upstairs. As far as I can tell, they just set it up in an area that's like normally open anyway. Because like right behind me there was like racks of t-shirts and stuff and like posters and all this stuff. And they just had a ring set up and there's like maybe 20 people there.
Okay.
was a good
Very
show.
cool. Yeah.
Did I do anything manga related? I went to a manga museum. It was very small. I can't remember the name of it. They had like
Wait, was this the Tokyo apartment building that I told you about to go to?
No, this was like it's kind of it's less a museum and more like a reading kind of room.
Okay.
I think it was like same after some guy, and I guess he was heavily involved with Comic Kit. So it's like his library of like manga and doujinshi and all this stuff. And they had like
Oh,
a little
wow.
exhibition on like Taiwanese comics, and then a reading room. But I think it was closed the day I went there. I think it was the 25th. So like I could go to like the little exhibit downstairs. The actual reading room was closed.
Okay.
I can go to the apartments. I think the place I should have if I'd gone to Kyoto, because there's an international like museum of manga or comics in Kyoto. So it seems like that was the place to go.
Yeah, I've heard about that place.
It's
You were
also-
also... Yeah, go ahead.
I think there was also a Hideki Anno exhibit out in some place west of Tokyo. I was like, I don't care enough. I'm not, I was like, it's like 2 hours away. I was like, I could do something. It's my time.
But you went to the famous Asakura place for the temple and the big Buddha statue?
Yes. Although I didn't actually go there for that. It was only when I got off the train and I saw the actual signs in the train station where it's like, Buddha statue this way, temple the other way. I was like, oh, that's this place. All right. I actually went for there's a Japanese director. What's his name? Oh God.
Akira Kurosawa?
No, not Akira Kurosawa. Hirokazu Kore Etta. I don't know how I'm pronouncing. I think there was like this like little museum there run by some couple who were like involved with like Japanese film production and distribution, particularly foreign films, and they just had like an exhibit on like his stuff, and I like his movies, so I was like, yeah, sure, we'll go there.
Nice.
It was like a lot of like small, like very specific, like places you could go in and out in an hour. Like they're kind of like scattered, all like close enough to each other. You're like, oh yeah, I'll just go to this one. Walk 15 minutes, go to that one. Walk another 15 minutes, go to this other one over here.
Yeah, I bet you were in good shape while you're in Japan, because in general in Tokyo, you walk everywhere.
Yes, a lot of walking, a lot of trains, and just walking around.
Mm-hmm.
My kind of city that way. I like to walk, so.
Yeah, I always end up losing weight whenever I go back to Japan, especially spending time in Tokyo, because
Yeah.
there's so much walking.
I remember, I mean, I was only there a week, many, many years ago, but I remember feeling really healthy, not just because of all the walking, but also like eating rice and miso for breakfast.
Oh yeah,
Like,
the food is
you know,
way healthier.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I feel so light and yet satisfied. Like,
Oh, we gotta ask Seamus what you ate while you're in Japan.
What did I eat? A lot of rice balls out of convenience stores.
Nice. You have a preference on which one you like? 7-Eleven, Lawson's, Family Mart?
I want to give it to Lawson because there was one Lawson shop that I went to a couple of times, and they had like a beef and egg rice ball that was like the nicest one of them. But
Nice.
like I don't know. After I went back there on the third day and it was gone, and I like never. I went to like other Lawsons and Family Marts and like 7-Elevens, and I like never got sight of them again.
Damn.
I think I like some of the Lawsons. You call them like I don't know, desserts, like kind of like baked, kind of sweet baked goods.
Oh, sweetbreads, yes.
Yes, I ate some nice ones. I got hot coffee out of a vending machine because there was one right next to Cork and All, so it was
There's a
handy
lot
when I
of
was
vending
like
machines. Mm-hmm.
when I was like, yeah, you are right. There's a lot of like drinks vending machines. Not so much food ones. But that was handy when I was like, all right, well, I'm going to this wrestling show and I want to get some coffee, but like I can just get it in a bottle and bring it in with me. So that's why. Oh, that's the other thing actually. Now, why does it keep complaining about like US wrestling? And I don't know, maybe it's just venue specific, but like I think this is a sports thing in the US as well. But like, do they like not allow you to like bring like food into places?
because they want to sell you some.
Yeah, it's kind of like the movie theater convention of wisdom that you buy their overpriced stuff there, and that's where they can make the money.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, also there's another reason Japan is better. Kurgan Hall, they didn't give a fuck. They actually sold fried chicken in there, but like I just brought in like food for myself. And I will say, actually, one of the venues in Ireland was like that. But Crow Park, where we used to go to like for sports shows, they didn't care either. Like I literally bring in like my like a couple of pieces of like my lunch with me. So I'm like, oh, I'm here for 2 matches, so like I want to eat in between. So we'll bring enough food for lunch.
Oh, Darfox pulled up some pictures from your Instagram on our stream.
Maybe
Looks like you had some mapo tofu.
Maybe you're just
Yes.
maybe you're just like a scary foreigner, and they didn't know how to tell you no. They're like, oh, we can't talk to him.
They don't give a shit. They just
They don't care. There was
What?
more search in the back, like, because I was just like, it was actually someone else I saw on Twitter pointing out, and I was like, I didn't even think about that, because I was like bringing in food there like a few days just to be like, you know, if I was like the day I had like 3 shows, it was either like Corrigan, other place, back to Corrigan.
I think if you bring outside food into a restaurant or like any kind of like food establishment, they might tell you no, please don't do that.
Well, that's like expected, but like
Yeah.
I don't know, that was just something that I didn't even think about till I thought about like going to that United Center. I was just like another reason to be like, yeah, fuck US wrestling and like fuck US sports.
Did you?
What
Yeah,
did
go
I
ahead.
get food wise? I think I went to a Ram. Just the amount of places that had like big ass queues, like because they're very tiny and people are queuing up before it even opens.
Ramen shop.
There was a ramen place like that. I did actually go there one day because I didn't have a whole lot on. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll wait like half an hour to get in here. That was actually very nice and like very filling. There was like a katsu place. It was like beef katsu, but you like
Yep.
put it on a kind of like stone thing before you like almost like Korean barbecue kind of thing. Then there was another katsu place that was like really close to Cork, and like literally some like that there was 2 places, this place and the other place, right across the road from each other. I literally found them because like I was going to the Freedom Show one night and I was like, oh, I need to like find somewhere to eat before I go. And I walked by and I was like, oh, this place is open, we'll go on here. The place is really nice. And then the place across the road was like a gyozo place. I think in near Corrigan, it seems like there's like a lot of like Taiwanese/Chinese places.
Yeah, it's like a popular like Japanese, local Chinese food type places are very popular. Whether it's ramen, just straight ramen, or just like different Chinese dishes like the mapo tofu you got.
Oh, that was in like Kawasaki. Like that was just I went down there for like a wrestling show and I was walking back to the train station and I was like, I should stop in somewhere to eat. And I like walked by there and I was like, that doesn't seem too busy and the food looks nice. So I just like walked in and got that.
Nice. Any bad meals?
Any bad meals? No. Like I think I mostly had breakfast in the hotel because I think I didn't really give myself time to go for breakfast. I think I packed a bit too much stuff in at the start, and then a lot of places were closed. Kind of.
They don't open till later in Japan.
Yes, that's the other thing. It's like, oh well, I want to be in like Corrigan for 10 o'clock, so the hotel food was. I think it was just more after like having I don't know, the same thing like 4 or 5 days in a row. Like even in that, it was nice, but it wasn't like great. Like, that was it. The worst food there was nice, not great. Like there was no like bad food.
And then you had to come back to America.
Yeah. To be fair, I was happy to be back. I would say like the amount of food places there is kind of nuts compared to here or Ireland, but also they're so small. Like it's a very different like setup. I was I was going away being like, I need to see is there like a book on like the economics of like how restaurants work in Japan. Why are they all like so small? And like a lot of places would have it where not a lot of places, but a decent amount of places where like there was like a ticketing thing. So you pay with the ticket and then you just hand the ticket in. So and like they just give you the food. I was like, that was different.
Because they don't have time to do a cashier person to like ring you up.
It's literally like there's like 2 cooks and like it's a counter and that's it.
Yeah, there's a machine outside where you pay, you get your ticket, you give that to the cook, and the cook is like, okay, I'll just make this, and they don't have to worry about the money because the money's handled outside in a machine. Seamus, I think to answer your question about why they're small, it's because it's Tokyo and it's crowded and it's there's just not a lot of space. Once you get outside the city, they have like bigger restaurants. Like they'll have like a conveyor belt sushi place that's like pretty sizable. What you would expect to be like a large restaurant in America. But yeah, anything else about Japan?
Wrestling was mostly good.
You saw some crazy like blood like death matches.
Yeah, there was like one death match. That was like Freedoms. So the reason I kind of went in the 23rd was I was like, I have to be here for the 25th because the 25th is when Freedoms, which is a deathmatch promotion, do their like year-end like Christmas show. I think was like definitely the second best attended show I went to. There was like 1,200 people. I think Corrigan holds like
Damn.
1400.
Dar, do not pull up that picture
No,
because it's fucking.
no. I'm not.
It's disturbing.
I'm trying to find another deathmatch one that isn't like bloody.
Well, then it's not a deathmatch if it's not bloody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a light
this one
tube deathmatch. The only issue I had was I was sitting in a bad spot. I was like kind of in a corner away where I couldn't really see like where they were facing to the hard cam. So like I missed the bit where one of the lads got put through glass. I kind of want to rewatch that, but that was like one of the best ones was because it was like seeing if you're there in person, you like hear the smashing of the glass.
Ugh.
Like the way they wrestled it too, it was like it'd be like you'd do a suplex onto the glass, you'd kick
Ugh.
someone, but like you'd put the glass on them and then kick it. It was like
Ugh.
so well done.
Ugh.
And then the other thing too is you can also constantly hear the people around the ring like smashing. So it's sugar glass, so they're like constantly smashing it. There was one bit where one of the guys, I think the other guy was going to like do a dive out to him on the outside, so he like threw a bunch of them at your man as he was like running to the ropes, and like I think part of it went flying into the crowd.
Fuck.
It was that was one of like the best matches. And then one of the worst matches I went to was like the Big Japan Date match, which I was kind of worried about when I was like, all right, well, one of the guys here is like an American guy in his 50s. And I was like, oh, this could be bad.
No.
And then I was like, okay, well, they're not taking their shirts off. Oh, God, this is going to be terrible. And it was. It was like people's idea of like what a bad ditch match is, where it's just like, oh, he's like staples him and they just do a few spots. But there's no real wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, wait, that's the Q1 referee. And Necro Butcher's here with like a Trump Take Back America flag.
Ugh.
I saw
Great.
that.
Oh, and then, oh, God, because the other thing too was, so the referee interfered and cost the champion, the Japanese guy, his match. So the American guy was like, well, I'm not going to give you the belt, but we'll do a rematch, and this guy won't be the ref anymore. And I was just like, this is such fuck. This is like, because they did a show like 2 days later. I was like, this is such like indie booking of, oh, we'll drop the belt, but you're going to win it back 2 days later kind of thing. That was like the worst match. But like the match, well, I only went to that show because the match before it was like a astronauts like tag match, and I was like, I want to see the astronauts like have a tag match. Like it was a rematch of a match they did earlier last year. That was like considered one of their best matches. It was like them versus the Crazy Lovers. That match was fucking great. And it was actually the guy who won the death match in Freedoms was actually the guy they were up against who also beat them. It was actually interesting seeing him like go from like a death match to like a tag match in the space of like 3 days.
Very nice. It sounds like you really enjoyed yourself. So I'm happy for you.
Yes, I'll definitely. I was like, next time we go back for longer. Probably don't go to see as many wrestling shows. There's like some of them that I went to see because I was like, well, I want to see these wrestlers. So even if the show isn't the greatest, I want to see them at least once because, like, you know, fucking who knows? Like, I think like when I was there, that one person, I think, had a retirement. Although, funnily enough, another show I went to, another person announced their own retirement.
That's wrestling.
Yeah, which I think is because the company she retired from, I think they've changed ownership. So I think the people who like, it was Ice Ribbon had this mass exodus in like the last 2 years. That it turned out because basically people couldn't stand the people who were running the show, running at the time. But I think they got sold like a month ago. She's like, I'm back in a month, and it's like, okay, well now it's clearly the management there.
Oh, very nice, Seamus. But we've been going on for a while, so I think we're gonna end our little check-in from your trip to Japan now. Darfox, I just realized I hadn't even mentioned our coffee, so we should probably pull that up real quick.
It was an atypical start of the episode. I went straight to the picture-in-picture. I never do picture-in-pictures first.
I mean, Seamus came back. We needed to hear that update, so I'm glad we did. Yeah, I just want to mention our Manga Mac coffee. We've had such good supporters recently. The Berserk Psycho Selection goal was funded by Philip. Our Ooku Inner Chambers retrospective funded by Mangamachu, Vicky Dalton, and Lulu. I want to thank all our other supporters: Dulude, Jen, Mia, Dr. Melface, Liquidus002, Wyatt, Poor Mexican 72, and Extine. If you want to support our podcast, make sure to head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac, and you can buy us a coffee. I can't give an update about some of the scheduling, because we just talked about it before starting the show. We'll probably do the Berserk Psycho Selection sometime in February, so that'll be coming up very soon. We're waiting for Seamus to get some books and read up on some history on Japan. So the Ooku Inner Chambers retrospective will probably be after our 500th episode. So we're thinking sometime June of this year. So you'll have to wait a little bit for that. But we will get to it. Right now, we have a goal for funding Land of the Lustrous retrospective, which is a project we want to do in the future. But that one, we need to wait for the last volume to come out. So there you go. Thank you again to our supporters and helping us fund and buy our manga. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along. I have an email, a very good email from Chris from Canada, which I want to read real quick.
Does that
The
imply
email-
a lot of the other emails are not that good?
No, I this one in particular is good because of the title of the email. Chris writes, for the title, Are You Stupid? Hey team Manga Machinations. Here's my question. Has reading manga ever just made you feel stupid? I recently caught up on Jujutsu Kaisen, and it often made me feel stupid and had to Google a fix. For instance, I know a prime example is chapter 210. As soon as I finished the chapter, I asked myself, what the fuck did I just read? And Googled the chapter, scrolled down till I found the first Reddit link, and was delayed to see many others just as confused. The manga explains intentions poorly and explains powers and abilities poorly. They also over-explain in situations and just comes off very convoluted and uses dumb titles for powers. I kept feeling like I was missing something that others were getting. I just felt dumb. But often Reddit showed me how so many others were confused. Even my coworker who loves Jujutsu Kaisen finds it confusing. Also, I had to Google many terms and powers to get concise explanations. Has a manga ever made you feel dumb? Feeling stupid, and it's finally snowing here. Chris from Canada. Peace in. Oh, thank you for your email, Chris.
Manga that made us feel stupid. Besides MPD Cycle, which is the quick answer.
What? So here's the thing. In the situation that Chris is explaining, I would not automatically feel stupid myself. I would be like, this person is not explaining anything well. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, there's something wrong with that guy. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
So I guess like I might feel like if it was like any book or anything that was like really technical that got really into something, like if you gave me like a sports manga that went like so inside baseball, so to speak, I would feel stupid. Like if it started talking about like things in a sport, I know nothing about this, I feel out of my depth. But if it's like explaining the thing in the world or like a plot point or a power or whatever and I'm not getting it, that's not my fault. That's not being explained properly by the author or the translator or somebody.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I read that chapter 210 again after getting this email. I know why people are confused about this, but I was not confused.
What you're saying is you're smart and they're the fool and you're the idiots.
I guess that's what it means. Now, the problem is the beginning of the chapter is showing a flashback to a new character, and then it jumps from that flashback to the current tense of like things that are happening. And then in the middle of like what's happening currently, they jump back to the flashback. And so it explains things like if you read it. Also, like there's a problem between English and Japanese is that Japanese dialogue and the way people speak, it's usually easier to tell who is speaking because you can get a sense of like whether it is a male character or a female character more often than not. There's like little nuances to like the language that's used that makes it a lot more clear. I feel like it's like more, you know, gender neutral in English for a lot of dialogue. And so I think that was also confusing. But Chris McKenna is not wrong about Jujutsu Kaisen. It's been a long, well-known thing that Gege Akutami, the creator of Jujutsu Kaisen, makes up powers and then he retcons them without giving a proper explanation, or changes like how the powers work to match like the story that he's telling. It's that series is super confusing. I think Chris in our Discord was mentioning how he hasn't watched the anime. Most people know Jujutsu Kaisen through the anime because the anime is very well done and very good. But I watched that newest season with my wife, and I had to constantly stop because she would be like, "What's happening? What is going on? Who is this character?" Because it's a series that does very poorly getting like weekly chapters or like weekly episodes, because the story requires you to remember something that happened like 50 chapters ago, and remember that is like knowledge. Like that lore that dropped right there, that explanation, you better fucking remember that, because that's going to be referenced to here 50 chapters later, and you better remember what that meant or who this character was. I mean, it's a problem with any kind of long-running manga series or thing, but Jujutsu Kaisen in particular, the powers are very like confusing. I guess Darfox, an example to throw to you is, was there ever a part in Naruto when you were reading it where they were like, I don't remember that, or like, what the hell is this person talking about?
There's the whole thing with, you know how they would summon the auras around them and have like how like Sasuke would have like the skeleton dude around him. Like, I stopped paying attention to the powers at that point. I was like, I don't know. And at the end of the series, like the last fight, there was like a bunch of them. It really had like these weird mech things they were projecting about themselves. I was like, I know this is supposed to be cool, but like I don't even know the basis of these powers.
Yeah, it's kind of, when you get to that point in a shonen battle series, it's like you've kind of lost your audience a little bit, like what you're trying to imply. Do you feel like Black Clover ever does that, or do you think that's well explained enough?
No, I think Black Clover is well explained enough because it's kind of simple, you know.
Yeah, but simple works.
Yeah.
Simple works.
Yeah, that's Black Clover's whole thing. It's just like it has a little like its little domain, and it just does really well there. It doesn't overreach anything.
I feel like the appeal of Jujutsu Kaisen is that people who grew up reading stuff like Naruto now get to read Jujutsu Kaisen and be like, it's edgier. There's like a lot of character deaths. It's like more like serious and like extra gory.
Gojo is like Sasuke, but like actually sexy. and then there's the other guy who like
Gojo is not the Sasuke.
Well, he looks like a Sasuke. And then there's the other guy that I've seen him in the memes that he's like the choke me daddy character with like the Vash Stampede glasses, and he grabs that character by the hair.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, people are way into. Jujutsu Kaisen is very horny. At least the fan base is.
They're always horny for these manga, even when it's inappropriate.
Well, Gojo and that guy are at least adults, I think. Which is better than like people being horny for like My Hero characters who are all like 16 or something.
But yeah, Morgana, you ever feel confused by anything you read manga-wise?
Nope. Like I said, if it's confusing, it's not a good book. If you can't effectively explain your world or your powers or your whatever, you're not conveying your story well, is mostly my feeling. I will admit to being kind of bogged down in Hunter x Hunter with all the Nen stuff. Not because it was confusing, but because there was just a lot.
It is, and I can feel the intent of Yoshihiro Togashi in Hunter x Hunter, because he's explaining things very thoroughly, because he's like, this is why this next idea is going to be cool. And when you do that and you read it and understand it, it is very cool. It has a much more interesting, nuanced like approach to a fight, besides being like more power and like I have more of a higher power level. It's way more intense than that. It's more like mind games. And that can be a lot of fun. But you have to be able to get into that. And it's, the weekly release of chapters, if you're reading on like the app, it's hard to follow up on everything and remember everything.
Do you like reading the instructions when you get a new board game? Then Hunter x Hunter is the manga for you. I do not like reading instructions on a new board game. I want somebody to tell me concisely how to play the damn game.
Yeah.
What about you, Seamus? Do you have any, maybe not just manga, but any instances of like reading something and being like, I'm not understanding this. I feel stupid.
I think there was a book I read. I can't remember the name of it. I think it might have been called On Spinoza. And I was like, I don't fucking clue what I'm reading here. But I was like, to be fair, I probably should actually like read something that's not like this particular French theorist idea on like Spinoza. I'm just like, they're throwing around terms here. No idea what they mean. Will I bother looking them up? Actually, I did that with a music book as well, written like around about like music theory in the 1800s. I was like, I don't fucking clue what I'm reading here. But I was like, fuck it, we'll just keep reading anyway.
Why did you keep reading that?
I don't know. You end up reading enough of the book, like you kind of get an idea what they're on about.
That is hilarious. The idea of you reading a
even
music theory
though
book.
I think it was a music. I can't remember what it was even called. I don't even know why I picked it up. I think I like heard about it somewhere, and I like got it out of the library and I read it, and I was like, not a fucking clue what they're going on about like half the time.
I guess the question is, you don't know what's going on, but did it make you feel stupid?
Only in the sense where I was like, I might have been better off like I don't know, looking up the terms as opposed to being like, fuck it, we'll just keep reading. What I get, I get. What I don't, I don't.
Okay.
That's me. I don't know. It's more like I don't know, stubbornness or something. Me just being like, I care enough to read the book. I don't care enough to actually look up all these terms. I'm just going to be like, this is immersion learning. You just fucking what you pick up by the end, what you pick up by the end. And if I ever develop enough an interest in music theory, she'll probably come back to it at some stage.
That might be how I'm reading Jesus Kaisen. Because they
Well,
keep...
to be fair, you're saying with Jujutsu Kaisen, they like change what the powers are. That'd be like you're reading a music theory book, and they're like, in chapter 1, this word means this. In chapter 5, it means a very different thing.
Yep. I mean, it made for a more interesting reread, I would say, when I started reading back from the beginning, and I had more context of like, oh, this is what they're referring to, like 100 chapters later. But it doesn't make for a good reread when you're reading it serialized week to week.
I got kind of a different take on this question. So like sometimes because we read a lot of manga on here, and kind of by definition we read like a lot of seinen and josei stuff. And sometimes when I read manga like Helter Skelter or maybe Memoirs of Amorous Gentleman, I like intellectually I kind of get what they're going for a little bit. But because it's a very like feminine perspective book, I'm always like, I wouldn't say like I feel stupid, but I'm always like trepidatious. Like, am I stepping my bounds by like kind of ascribing a reading to this sometimes? And sometimes it's, I mean, like sometimes the books aren't that complicated, or the readings are like self evident, and pretty straightforward. But like the whole like Helter Skelter, the horror of like continually cosmetic surgery yourself until your body starts falling apart, and like it's like this specific brand of like almost like body horror, that sometimes when I'd felt like if I commented enough on it or kind of made too finely a point on it, I feel like I'd be stepping into bounds where I'm like criticizing cosmetic surgery or something like that, which I don't want to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? So there are some manga, and the ones I'm thinking of now are the ones written by women that are like a little bit headier, I guess, and or not headier, but they have concepts that are way more human and are dealing with like ideas that are way more relevant and hurtful to real life people I might know in person. and those are moments where I feel, I don't want to use the word stupid, but I feel like almost disarmed by manga, where like I don't have my tools. I have the tool. I have this thing in my bag to describe when Ratchet Stampede shoots this guy. I have this other tool to describe, when it's like, I don't freaking know, when Naoki Urasawa says, "Who are you?" to be continued. But then Hota's character is like, I have this tool that I could use on this manga, but it's clearly not the exact tool, and this is partly because like I'm a man, and I do know a lot of women, and I have a lot of women friends, but I still don't have like the female perspective, the view a woman would have acutely about the idea of your body falling down, or like the kind of scariness of you you modify your body, change your body to continue being beauty, and that it's kind of like you trap yourself in a spiral. So yeah.
This is fascinating. First of all, I applaud your self-awareness, because I think
Yeah, I mean, you're already half ahead of
yeah, no,
awareness.
you're way ahead of a lot of guys. But you know what's fascinating about this to me, and I know we've had discussions like this before, is that I have to read books about men all my life, all through school, all the required reading is almost always by men from a male perspective, and that is the default. And I'm not accusing you of anything. This is society, and of course, so it's just fascinating that I have no problem reading something from a male perspective. It's expected that I understand what that means, right? It's fascinating that again, like, not only will you read this willingly, but you are interrogating yourself as you read it, and it's making you uncomfortable, and you're kind of sitting with that discomfort, and I think that's a good thing. And the fact of the matter is, you shouldn't have to be made uncomfortable by women's perspectives and women's stories, but that is the world we've kind of grown up in, and consumed media in, where those kinds of perspectives, whether they be women or people of color, or children even, or the aging, the dying, those are not perspectives that are considered appropriate for all audiences or relatable to all audiences. Um, so yeah, I love this conversation. This is very fascinating to me.
Well, I want to clarify slightly. And this isn't me trying to defend myself. Like, no, you got it all wrong. You got it
I
all
know.
wrong. I think that if I wasn't a podcast, or, and this is going to be the heavy quotes content creator, I would read the book and either enjoy it or not, or just engage with the characters or not. But because I have like content creator brain rot, I'm like, I gotta say something about this thing. I gotta say something,
Right.
like, I gotta say something valuable about this thing, or else why am I even on the internet? And why do I even why do I even like wake up in the morning if I don't have something interesting to say, right? Which is a whole other like psychosis that we won't get into.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that too. That's another deep limb of society.
um but yeah, I honestly wasn't even thinking about that. The whole like yeah, like every single book you were forced to read in high school was pretty much written for men by men.
And I love a lot of them. I mean, I have no problem with that, and I don't regret having to read most of them. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't think about that, like, that it's like the conversation that comes up every now and then about like shoujo manga or josei manga as not being something for, this is really just for women. This is like women's stuff. I remember actually recommending, I think somebody came into Comicopia asking for a horror book, and or no, they brought up Helter Skelter, I think, and I was talking about it to them, and I made the mistake of mentioning that it was, ran in a women's magazine or something. I mentioned women, and this kid, I mean, he maybe was like 19, I don't know. He like visibly like, oh, it's for women. I can't read it. I was
Wow.
like, are you fucking kidding me? This is a body horror book. You can totally read this. You should read this. It's really good.
Well, no, Morgana, that'd be gay.
Right? I know. It's wild to me. I had so many weird conversations with nerd boys at Comicopia.
I'm honored to be one of the good nerd boys you have conversation with.
You guys are good nerd boys. I wouldn't associate with you otherwise.
I'm glad to hear it. Okay, I think we will end our email conversation here, because we've already been going for a very long time. Thank you again for your email, Chris. Hope we answered your question a little bit. If you want to send us emails with questions or comments or anything, send them over to mangamachinations@gmail.com. All right, let's do a very quick what you been reading. Mostly I asked Seamus, Seamus, did you read anything while you were gone for a while?
Started going back to Basara.
Yeah, I saw that. You were tweeting about it.
I don't know. What am I up to?
Do you like it?
Yes, because I was like, I've been paying for this Viz app, and I'm like, I've been using this for like 6 months, and I was like, what's on here? I was like, oh, Sarah's on here. I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna read Word S.
Oh, let's read Don't Call It Mystery.
Oh, we will.
That's
we
also by, I can't remember her name now. I can't never remember it, but
Yumi Tamura.
Tamura.
okay, I'm gonna remember it.
The one I heard was Seven Seas, but I guess Seven Seas isn't. Wait, she's called Chicago.
I'm not sure. Seamus, how far are you in Basada? Do you know how many chapters?
Volumes. I just read volume 5 today.
Ah, you're in it. Okay, nice.
Fifth of the way into it, I think.
Is that the point where Basara is traveling with the Red King and she's not acting as Basara?
Wait, she's boss. I was because that's the thing I was thinking. Like, why is it called Basara when it's like that's not her name? It's also not the name she's also known as. So I'm like, who the fuck is? Or is it like Basara?
Wait. Wait, is she known as Tatara? Is that it?
No, but
Am I wrong?
she's Sarasa.
That's her actual name.
Yeah, and then she's Tatara. So like, where?
That's her brother's name. Yeah, that she's assuming the identity of.
So is she also Basara, or like, where does that come from?
I'm gonna look this up.
I'm gonna look this up. Mama said look this up. If I could turn anything into Mama knock you out, I will.
I don't know. I can't find it.
I have to read it all.
I've read it all.
Because
Again.
is it like a play? I'm wondering, is it some translation? Like, is she Basara in Japanese, but like was it changed to Sasara in English or something?
No, it's not. I just realized as we were talking about it, it's not.
Yeah, okay, that is weird. Does Basara mean something in Japanese? Is it like a word?
Okay, I think I might have found something. I'm just double checking this. I'm looking in the Japanese dictionary. Hold on.
I'll be dropping gold in the chat right now.
I see.
Only for Spanish speakers though.
Okay, in the Japanese dictionary it says acting without restraint, self-indulgence, wild license, eccentricity. But on Google, it looks like it might actually mean rebellion, which is a main theme of that manga.
Yeah, that would work. To be fair, I could also see how you could get rebellion from that other definition, depending on like how you interpret it.
Oh man, Yahoo Answers. Here we go. I'm gonna get a great answer right here.
Ever reliable.
What year is it?
This response was posted in 2011. So
That's fairly recent, all things considered.
21 years ago.
okay, never mind. It wasn't a question about the title. This is just comments about like the manga.
What's the question about basura?
I don't know. But that's neat, Seamus. I look forward to hearing more on what your thoughts about that series is. That manga's very violent and bad things happen, so I can see Seamus being into that.
Shoujo manga is for everyone. What I just say, guys?
And it's there's a lot of fucked up things happening in that, which I think Seamus might enjoy. But I wonder what you'll think of like the themes of like where that story goes.
It is quite long. I was like, I think it's 27 volumes. I was like, geez, that's a lot.
Yeah, we'll see if you stick around or if you drop off or whatever.
Yes.
Interesting. All right. Anything quick from you, Darfox?
I have some off-topic stuff that I'll hold off on because it's evergreen.
Okay.
So we can move on from me.
Yeah. And anything from you, Morgana?
Nope.
Yeah, we've been recording for almost an hour at this point, so. Oh, I can talk about something very quickly. Darfox, I've been reading the new Nobuyuki Fukumoto manga.
Wait, Nobuyuki Fukumoto, who was that? I'm blanking. Oh,
Wait.
Oh, the Kaiji guy.
Yes.
Oh, is it, okay. I'm gonna ask a stupid question. Is it a gambling manga?
In a sense, yes. It's a sports manga.
Oh, okay. Let me take a look.
I just sent Darfox a link to the first chapter on Comic Days. It's running in Morning Seinen magazine, and the title is Nikaido Jigoku Golf, or Nikaido Hell Golf. The main character is Susumu Nikaido. He's 35 years old.
Is he a sad sack?
He is a sad sack man.
Oh, shocking.
He wants to become a
Okay.
professional golfer, and he's been going up against the test for 9 years and failing.
Oof.
Well, playing golf was his first mistake.
Wait, you have to like pass a test to be a professional golfer.
Yes.
Yeah. Wasn't that the same with shogi in Orange County like a lion? Oh, there's a test.
Yeah. There's a shogi league, and you have to get into a certain level before age 26, I think, before you age out. Golf, there's no age problem, but the problem is Nikaido was recommended when he was 26 by a country club. But now here's the problem. It's been 9 years of him fucking up and failing. And the first chapter shows a flashback of like the first year when like the president of the country club is like behind him and like saying like this man is going to take us to our dreams, to the fucking green jacket of like I don't know golf, so but I know about the green jacket. But the problem is it's been 9 years and now he's sad and he's sitting on this swing in the fucking dark park and he is regretting everything and he doesn't know what to do. And the manga is about him, of course, not succeeding, because this is a Nobuyuki Fukumoto manga. So this sad sack of a man continues to fail, and it's about him failing. And that's the manga, Morgana.
Amazing.
Did he ever consider making up his own religion and trying to overthrow the government?
No, because he's too sad sack of a man to actually quit and do something else. He is holding on to his dream because that is the only small pride
what
that he
if
has
he's a
in his
mental
life.
breakdown where Jesus Christ appears to him and tells him he's his younger brother?
It won't happen. What are you referencing? What is this?
I'm referencing the Typing Rebellion.
Oh, okay. Jesus.
Because the guy who started it failed the whatever civil exams a few times in a row.
All right, cool. I learned something today. No, this is a manga that Darfox would enjoy seeing. This man who is basically Kaiji but trying to become a golfer and fucking it all up
He's
and
basically
never
just
succeeding.
like wavy hair Kaiji.
Yep. Who keeps failing and keeps seeing people younger pass him up. At the current moment, he's reached the point where the country club members are fed up with him. Actually, the original owner who recommended him is now kind of ill and isn't around anymore. So now the other members want to get him the fuck out, but he can't. Any reasonable person might actually be like, okay, I tried and I failed, and I'm gonna give up my dream. But this is the man who stuck around without ever saying that, just trying to weasel his way so we can keep trying because he can't give up. Not in a noble sense, Morgana. In a sense of I'm prideful and I don't want to admit that I'm bad. It's good entertainment to laugh.
What's it like in the noble sense then? How is that different?
He know you have it in you and you gotta stick it out through this dark patch.
Well, the country club is financing him, and right, so he's getting money to also take the test and everything. And and he had 9 chances already, and as the manga goes on, those chances keeps going past the years. So, at what point do you stop trying to squirm and be a parasite on this country club?
Secret hero because he's doing that on purpose because fuck country clubs.
Well, hold on
I was
now.
gonna say that.
Sure, as long as they're handing him the money, it's not like he's saying, "Look, you give me the money." I start shooting people.
He's not extorting the
Yeah. So unless it's revealed there's blackmail or he's got kidnapping.
No, I mean at the point where I'm at the story, they've basically all but told him, "No, we're not paying for you anymore."
I think it's supposed to be the awkwardness of he was the owner's guy, but now that the owner's guy, or now that the owner is kind of indisposed, there's that awkwardness where he's still around. He doesn't have the backing.
Yes.
And everybody's just a awkward, weirdo, and
they expect him to quit, and then he didn't, and they kept going for a couple of years.
Then I'm going to say good for him. He's do you know what he did? He saw the gap. He saw, this system can be very easily exploited because they won't directly tell me. And he's like, fuck it, let's take it for all it's worth.
It would work if he had
agree.
that personality, but he doesn't. He feels guilty and sad and pathetic about it.
beautiful, top Fukumoto manga right there.
Yep. Nikaido Hell Golf. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying Fukumoto's take on a sports manga because this is what he would do, and it's pretty great.
Yeah, it's not about trying to be the winner. It's being the loser. And
remember when he tried to do that? It was Kaiji, but it was a shonen protagonist.
Yeah,
it was smart. It
the
doesn't
kid.
work. It doesn't work when the main character is successful.
Yeah,
beating betting matches.
I kind of despise that. It's especially because gambling is not good. People shouldn't gamble or whatever. I'm not gonna get on a high horse and just start talking about sinful practices like gambling. But you read Kaiji, and when I read Kaiji, I'm like, damn yeah, fuck yeah, let's go gamble. I'm like, what the fuck? What's wrong with these people? What are they doing?
You want that? Just read the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh. There's a whole lot of depraved shit that goes on there with a shonen protagonist. Have fun.
Yep. But there you go, Nikaido Hell Golf. Oh, Cliff is here in chat. Hi, Cliff. He said he had a Aoashi moment. That's interesting. I'll have to ask him about that later. But I just want to quickly mention Nikaido Hell Golf. We can end what you've been reading. And yeah, we're going to get ready for our main segment, but before that, let me talk about next week. Seamus is back, so next week we're going to do a triple dip. We need to do a little bit of catch up on a couple books that we missed out in 2023. So we want to talk about March Comes In Like a Lion, Volume 1. We'll also be reading Volume 1 of The Darwin Incident by Shun Umezawa, who did a Pantyhose-like World, Seamus. Remember that fucking manga? That's that guy. He did a manga about a half-human, half-chimpanzee, humanzee.
I think I remember this Darwin thing back. Maybe it was when did you read it ages ago? It's been
I
like
did.
this-
I read it when it. I'm still reading it. But like when it debuted, I talked about it and how like Shun Umezawa was doing like I forgot what it's called, but like it's like the licensing where like you can use the entire first chapter however you want. Commons license or something like that.
Oh, Creative Commons.
Yeah.
Like distribution.
We mentioned it on our news for that. But yeah, that manga came out in English, so we can read it. You can take a look next week. And I was thinking, what else can we read? It's been a long while, but we are gonna read Takehiko Inoue manga. We're gonna read the first volume of Real, which is an old manga at this point that came out in 2008. But it's available digitally, which means it's easy for us to read for this podcast. So next week it'll be a triple dip on Real, The Darwin Incident, and March Comes In Like a Lion. Stay tuned for that. Okay, everybody, we're going to take a short break, and after we are done, we'll be back with our one-shot on Henkaipan. Stay tuned. Okay, everybody, we are back. It's time for our main segment. We did a one-shot on Henkaipan by Eldo Yoshimizu. This is a manga that is put out in English from Titan Comics. Of course, Eldo Yoshimizu did the manga Ryuko, which we read last year and we really liked. Morgana, you were out on maternity, so you did not get to read that.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but it's been on my list. I want to read it.
Yes, but you did read Henkaipan. Let me just get some more information. So this came out in English in April 2022 from Titan Comics. And yeah, because Eldo Yoshimizu is a illustrator, artist, he's not like a straight manga person. It came out in English. I bet it came out in French first, because he does a lot of work in France.
Oh, I bet he does.
Yeah. Oh, you could tell, we'll talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
it. And but Henkaipan came out in English in Titan Comics. I'm not even sure if it's released in Japanese, because I know just last year at the end of 2023, Ryuko came out in Japan as a manga, which is like, it's a fascinating thing to think like of someone putting out a manga in a separate country outside of Japan first. But let me get some credits here. Writer artist Eldo Yoshimizu. Translator for Henkaipan is Matoko Tamamuro, and letterer Lauren Bowes. I forget if that's the same team that did Ryuko. Let me go ahead and read the copy here. Henkaipan translates as one and all, and is the motto of cosmotheism. Dismayed by the havoc wreaked? It's wreaked, right?
Rigs.
Okay. Wreaked on the earth by humankind, its 5 guardian spirits decide to act. But as they argue amongst themselves on what the judgment should be, one enraged spirit, Nyla, becomes determined to take matters into her own hands, forcing the remaining 4 to unite in a desperate final battle to prevent her from wiping not just humans, but all life from the face of the planet. This is a highly professional and timely book that features some of Eldo Yoshimizu's most beautiful artwork to date. With its central themes of ecology, philosophy, and spirituality, Henkaipan is a kinetic, emotionally charged work that delivers a powerful message that will resonate, not just with manga fans, but all readers. That's some nice copy. Some nice copy. So yeah, this is 192 pages of basically what the copy was saying. We follow all these spirits that have different names. I forget them because I'm bad with names. But I remember the main one, Ashura. And it's pretty interesting seeing everything happening here. Sorry, I'm flipping through the pages because the artwork is gorgeous. It's so fucking good. Eldo Yoshimizu fucking knocks it out of the park again. Okay, yeah. We'll turn to you because you didn't get to comment on Ryuko. You weren't there for the retrospective, so we'll start with you. What did you think of Henkaipan and your experience with Eldo Yoshimizu?
So, having read this, I understand what Seamus was saying in our year-end episode about style over substance.
Oh, style is substance.
Oh, style is substance. Well, I feel like it's a little okay, both. I like the concept a lot. The delivery was a little bit I don't know. The stakes didn't really feel very high to me. And I think some of that is not a problem necessarily with the book itself, but maybe with the translation or the I don't know, like the flow maybe a little bit. I didn't really feel like I liked Eldo Yoshimizu's explanation at the beginning. I like the concept. I love the character designs. I love the artwork. It's absolutely gorgeous. I just don't I'm reading it, I'm like, okay, I mean, yeah, humankind sucks. That's true. Like I don't know how to feel like I don't know that I feel invested in the actual argument that the spirits are having here. It doesn't I think part of it's just the brevity too. It's very short.
It's a single volume.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. I want to be clear that I think it was really really interesting, and especially there's some of that artwork, like especially toward the end there are these like pages with like ink wash stuff going on. They're just
it's
gorgeous.
So good.
So beautiful. And the character designs are really interesting. All the characters look very distinct. They are stylish. There's a lot of fine art skill here. And you read at the end that Eldo Yoshimizu is a sculptor as well. I'm like, oh, of course. That makes sense to me. And you saying that maybe this was out in French also makes, that makes sense with my impression of his artwork and his kind of even the tone of the story. Like it feels very like some nihilistic bande dessinée stuff. So overall a good experience, but I definitely feel like I don't know that the story made me. I don't think it was the story that compelled me as much as the artwork.
Oh, of course, 100%. No knock against Eldo Yoshimizu, but like I'm here for his art. The story is like, it takes a far backseat. I just want to look at all the beautiful drawings. Go ahead, Dar.
I think, Morgana, if you had read Ryoko,
it's Ryuko. We always say it wrong.
Ryuko. Sorry, say it again.
Ryuko.
Ryuko.
No.
Okay, say it again.
Ryuko. Not Ryo. Ryuko.
Ryuko.
Yes.
I swear I said that last time. Okay.
You didn't.
If you would have read Ryuko, you would have said almost exactly the same thing. Where you would have said something like, I'm not sure I'm invested in the whole like crime syndicate thing. You do like the main character, but like these twists that kind of don't come from anywhere. But damn, it looks amazing. Like damn, like that character's cool, and she's like, fucking people up and doing really cool stuff, and just like, like the story isn't bad, but it's more like it's almost just like a concept, and then they hang the art on it.
And I'm okay with that. Like, if this is an excuse to draw some beautiful artwork, that's fine. They don't all need to be banger stories.
So like this is one of those situations where a lot of times when we're streaming our podcast and I'm thinking about what panel I'm gonna put up on screen, it's usually like I'm gonna put like the first big set piece, so that I don't put something too spoilery on there, something that happens early on, but the first big like 2-page spread or something like that, right? It's pretty simple to think of something, but with this book, like everything, there are 2-page spreads, but the 2-page spreads sometimes aren't anything fantastic. It's just like a 2-page spread of like the sun or something like that. Um, so I just chose this page that's pretty early on, because of the detail in the rain, and also it shows the characters and how they look. This is a very like worldly manga. It's something that Ryuko
Yes, you said
You
it
got
right.
it.
You got it.
something that Ryuko did as well, where like the creator is just like feels like they have a really worldly look on ideas and concepts and people.
Or maybe it's an excuse to draw like beautiful landscapes from all over the world.
But,
Also okay with that.
but like beautiful people too. Like on the page I have up, there's a black man on the panel, and he's drawn like a handsome person, but like completely different than like normally it looks like in Japanese manga. You know,
Did you see that extra illustration at the end of this manga of the same
Uh,
character, like
I must have. I don't remember.
in like robes or a dress or whatever? It looks amazing.
I'll go look for it later.
I forgot the names of all the characters because like I don't
The,
remember.
the black character I just mentioned was Osam Maizo or something like that. They're all based off like real things, I think. Um, like Asuro is like from a Asuro's Wrath. You know that video game is it's like a it's an Indian it's an Indian deity. I don't know much about it. I'm not like an expert on this stuff, but like it is based on established mythology.
Oh yeah, but I know nothing about it either. This is where I return to Seamus.
I wouldn't really say this is my area of expertise either.
But you probably know more than us.
My main thought was like, I think I mentioned Earth Girl Arjuna before. Maybe it was during Witches or something. And I was like, oh, this really is Earth Girl Arjuna, where it's like that anime was very heavy on like, I think even Arjuna itself is like an Indian
Yeah.
name for something. Like you had like the equivalent of a sword, and it was basically like the end of it kind of came down to, yeah, we just need to get rid of humanity. Because like they're a disease on this planet. I don't think happened. I think Arjuna stopped it.
Well, Neela wanted to just destroy everything.
Yes, and reset the planet.
Like if like life as we know it. But the plan that went forward was basically just like taking all the life that exists and just reincarnated it as nature.
All the humans that exist.
Right. Because specifically they didn't want to punish the planet. They wanted to punish the humans. Because the humans, like the good guys and bad guys in the story, all agree that humans were fucked up, and they needed to be punished.
It's so funny. I think about this often. Like we're destroying the planet. Climate change, et cetera, et cetera. And as soon as we go extinct, I do think the world is the Earth itself will be fine. There are animals that will have gone extinct, and that will have been our fault. The Earth itself, it's a rock flying through space. It'll rally. That doesn't mean I don't think we should fix the problem. But I also there's part of me that's like I'm actually not that sad about the end of humanity. I mean, I don't want it to happen to me. I don't want it to happen now, but I mean, all things must come to an end, right? It's better for the Earth if we're gone. I do believe that. And I say that as somebody who has, procreated and plans on living a nice long time. So, I don't know, take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
So Morgana, when you got to that 2-page spread of the people naked with their half their bodies in the ground, you're like, yeah, all right.
Well, what's really funny? When I die, I want to be turned into a tree. I want my body to go back to the earth. I want to be compost. So to me, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I want done with my remains. So, I mean, don't stick me head first into the ground. That probably won't work very well, but
that's probably like, I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but I laughed on that page. There's a lot of man ass right there.
and weenies.
Yes. But that's on the page where they're transforming into trees, so.
Weenies turning into branches.
Mm-hmm. God, I love looking at this book. This book looks so good. I think there was like one place towards the end where they're having a conversation between like, I think it was in the final chapters, it's between Ashura and the other spirits who are disappearing, where the word bubbles didn't quite match up, or it seemed like some characters talking were not who they were supposed to be, but I wasn't sure because all the other spirits disappear and leave. They left Ashura as the new guardian of the earth. That was the end. It has a weird twist where Ashura flies off to the International Space Station and there's still humans there. I wonder what the intent of that was, that little twist ending.
I think it's supposed to imply that there will be a new human race ushered forward, almost like a Adam and Eve of the human race, with maybe Asura as like the god or the overseer.
Just lead to more bad shit.
Yeah. I don't know if you want space colonizers as your as your new race, but that's, whatevs.
But she was unhappy about the result. She did feel like she was cheated or tricked by Permas, I forget her name as well.
The lead spirit against Nyla.
The other spirit, the other presenting spirit, and like restarting human race would be like a rebellious thing to do against her in that situation. So that's why I feel like that's what's going to happen. The Earth's not rid of us yet, is what I think happened.
I just kind of feel like obliterating everybody on the Earth and then just having the people who are left in space is some weird kind of eugenics. But I might be getting too deep in the weeds here.
I'm not trying to think too hard about it. I'm just looking at these 2-page spreads and all the art.
It is a funny loophole where like, oh, they restarted all of humanity. You're like, actually, they restarted all of humanity on Earth. Turns out if you jump high enough, you dodge it.
You too can avoid the rapture. Just be in space when it happens. Is that why all the billionaires are trying to go to space?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like no joking around. I think there's a weird like idea that like it's a form of prepperism. It's like, well, if we can have a pipeline to space, then we can escape in case anything happens.
Just fix the fucking planet.
Yeah.
Stop dumping shit into the ocean and destroying all the forests, and maybe you won't have to go to fucking space.
I recently learned because I saw Dan Olsen. Dan Olsen is a relatively famous YouTube essayist. Not as famous as like H-Bomber guy, but like he does very similar videos. It was a video about gold and gold mining, and in that video I learned about I think it's called a toxic pond, where it's like after the gold mine is tapped out, the big hole in the ground they dug in starts getting filled up with water, and because of rain, and eventually that water just becomes toxic because of all the mining they did, and it's a toxic pond, and because it's a huge body of water and it's heavy and unwieldy, they can't really do anything with it except kind of make it bigger so it doesn't overflow and contaminate the regular water. So they're just making this pond bigger and bigger and bigger so it doesn't spill over and contaminate our drinking water. And it's just like this incredibly fucked problem that we haven't figured out how to solve. It's just getting
Cool.
worse over time.
Thanks, guys.
And there's like multiple of
I'm
these.
depressed now, Dar. Why do you have to bring this down?
Actually, where I grew up, actually, we've got a load of like toxic mud ponds next to an aluminum smelting plant, which is right next to the river. And the whole thing was like, if any does ever burst, like everything downstream is fucked. But if you actually go on Google Maps, you can like clearly see where that smelting factory is, because you're like, what's all that big like thing of red?
It's like a video game map where there's like the ice planet. This is a toxic planet, like right next to it.
Well, I think like the mud will dry out, and they're just going to cover it over, and yeah, and it's Ireland, so it's like, you know, it's like we're going to get an earthquake or anything. But then again, I don't know. I remember my father was saying like back in the 80s, like cattle were dying. Maybe was it the 80s? Yeah, it would have been the 80s, early 90s. Like cattle were dying, and they were more or less paid off. And then there was only when another factory that did like baby food opened up, where they were like, "Nah, you actually need to like actually sort out those fumes now, because like don't want to lose the baby food jobs." Pretty sure that also like that was one of the things where like, you know, come to Ireland because we don't really have environmental regulation, so you can just like dump your pharmaceutical waste right into the water.
Cool.
Jesus.
Beautiful.
Speak English, cheap taxes, the government will give you money, environmental regulations, they're most suggestions.
Yo, Chris from Canada in the chat. Listen to the podcast. We answered your question.
I do appreciate knowing that America isn't the only extraordinarily fucked up government in the world, and it's probably just all of them. Like everybody everywhere has like fucked up policies.
No, yeah, that's the sad thing, is that like we are human, and we are united in our greed. Like the greed is universal. The other stuff we haven't really united on.
I think the weed air is doing a lot of work.
How do you mean?
We giant quotes around.
Maybe Hankai Pun has it right. Just transform us all into other animals and organisms.
I want to be a tree. I call Japanese maple. Or a lemon tree.
You don't want to be the baobab tree from the beginning?
No, but that thing was beautiful.
Oh, I love that 2-page spread of when it starts raining. Looks so good.
If I became a mango tree, people would jump my front fence into my front lawn to steal from me.
Happens everywhere. I'm trying to flip through this beautiful book and see what is my favorite like part art-wise, because there's so many. It might be the Northern Lights at the end of chapter 2. It looks so good. This book looks so good. There's nothing else to say when it comes to like art looking good. Like Darfox can't bring up everything on like the screen. He shouldn't. But
So I went back to Ryukyu, but I think in this one he seems to be using like more shading, like kind of gray kind of. Compared to Ryukyu, which at least when I was going through, it seems more like black and white. Like here, there's a lot more kind of gray shading.
Midtones.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. Midtones. It's
probably
not
with a
as-
paintbrush.
as inky, if that makes sense. There was like parts of it
Not
where it's
hard
like-
dark inks. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Like it's not as like that kind of dark either. Interesting to see him like change. And then there was like a thing at the front of the book where he's like another crime novel with some other person that's, I guess, coming out or has come out.
Gamma Dragonis. Not written by him. Written by Benoist Simat.
Sounds fucking French.
That might be interesting to take a look at, seeing like Eldo
Somebody's-
Yoshimitsu's artwork applied to someone else's narrative.
Yeah.
I will look into that.
This is totally random, non sequitur, but I meant to say this earlier, but we ran over, and I just have diarrhea mouth, so I have to say it. But earlier when you said let's turn to Seamus, I turned to my right and faced like my RGB computer. I don't know why. I don't know why, but like Seamus is represented by my computer now.
I would say I hate the whole RGB computer thing. I was because I think when I was trying to like buy, as far as I can tell, I don't know. Can you buy like RAM cards or VGA cards without them at this stage?
You can, but they're rarer because RGB is so cheap. They just put it in and everything.
So I was like, oh, how do I turn this stuff off? Like, I do not want this like lights coming out of this thing. Like,
Well, you could always have actually like a closed case, like a non-glass case, so that will help you out a lot on that. Because you still see some of it, but like not a lot of it. Like this case is literally meant to be like a fish tank for you to see the beautiful RGB fishies swimming about.
I think I like one side has the glass on it. I think it was just more like the flashing light stuff. Or particularly, well, I don't know. Do you have it where like the keyboard and all lights up, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is like a visual assault on my eyes here. Like, and people like, they're like, I'm just gonna be in a dark room, and my like keyboard is gonna be like flashing
It's for
colors.
streamers, Seamus, so they can look cool on their streams.
You know, I have a fancy clicky keyboard that I bought, and I literally because I like clicky keyboards, but also it had Egyptian hieroglyph theme. So, and my husband built the keyboard for me and everything. I did not know it did the
Yu-Gi-Oh!
So Yu-Gi-Oh. I did not know it did the light glowing nonsense. It's fun, but I kind of wish it was just one color that matched the keyboard because it's like all black and yellow, the keys themselves. It's like, what if it was just like gold, like just like a yellow color coming through? Like that would look cool instead of like purple and blue and pink and green, like in rapid succession.
You can probably change that setting.
I might be able to, yeah. It's not important. I mostly ignore it. I'm typing emails. It's not like I'm not streaming. I just
But if you were, you look super cool.
it would look super cool. I just really hate MacBook keyboards. Mac makes stupid keyboards. They're like completely flat. I like to feel the keys when I type. I used to type on a typewriter when I was like doing a lot of writing, because I wanted to feel the keys.
Wow, you wanted to feel 8 to 10 mechanical things happening every single time you like.
It's so satisfying.
Punch the key.
Love a mechanical keyboard. When I used this for the first time, my husband from the other room was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm typing on this keyboard that you made for me." He goes, "It sounds like gunshots." Like, Jesus.
That's why I don't
Feels
have
great.
one of those.
I love it. It feels so good.
My setup is in my bedroom. I can't be doing that in the middle of the night when my wife's trying to sleep.
Tappity, tappity,
Clack,
tappity,
clack,
tappity.
clack, clack.
They do have different. Like, there's a whole market.
Yes.
There's a whole market for like mechanical keyboards and different type of like key modules. I don't know what they're called, but like they have ones that they have the satisfying click, but they're quieter, still loud,
Yeah.
I think, but quieter. And they
Yeah,
have ones that are meant to be loud too. So
Yeah, you can get a range of sound. I went for slightly louder than most people probably think is sane, but I think it gets louder than this. So
So
I like the clacky clack.
I get like a keyboard where like every keystroke is like, I don't know, a shot from heat going off.
yeah.
Like the police just call
Your
to my
neighbors
apartment.
will love you.
It's like someone's shooting off guns. So no, that's just my keyboard.
Did you see? There was a recent meme about the gunshots and heat that nobody's been able to like, or like it's still like the only movie that has like that sound of gunshots that sound like terrifying. Oh, whatever.
You better add that to our Discord soundboard then.
I would say Black Hat, they're fairly. I don't know, are they as loud in Black Hat? Well, to be fair, Black Hat also doesn't have it in the middle of a. Like I think part of the reason they're so loud is the reverb from like all the buildings.
Yeah, they're down skyscraper alley, so it's a good scene.
All right, let's get back to Henkaipan a little bit before we end. Not just tangent about keyboards. Darfox, do you have any particular art or section of Henkaipan you really enjoyed or you want to discuss?
I like the variety. I just switched to this a few minutes ago, but before that, I had Neela in like her castle
Oh, the
thing
castle? Yeah,
with like
looks
her
awesome.
organ, which just looks like something out of like Castlevania or something. And then there's this, which is like Asura like in like the wilderness, and the sky is like watercolor splotches. Um, it's just I think most of the manga looks something closer to this, but there is a variety in the manga that kind of represents like almost like the diversity of the world. It's a very, I guess, I was talking about it earlier, but I guess I'll reiterate this, saying that it's just diverse. It's a very diverse book. Um, it tries to represent the world and its troubles and its end in like 200 pages, so it kind of goes everywhere real quick, or like 180 pages. However long the book is. It's not very long. It's not a long read. But you can make it better and longer for you if you watch the pages intently. You get a lot more out of it.
I'm fascinated. So each of the guardian spirits is a different race, or is represented as a different race. And Nyla, who wants to destroy the earth and start from scratch, is white,
Yeah.
kind of European. And I was like, is this commentary or is this just happenstance? She also looks like something out of like the Middle Ages with like a giant headdress, and like she's intense.
Mhm.
Very austere. And I'm just wondering, like, I'm curious about the choices that Yoshimizu made in casting each of these characters, right?
I think it's not impossible, but very hard not to read it that way. I agree with you, because um, although Yoshimizu mentions that when COVID happened, he almost didn't write this. He thought it was maybe inappropriate to write a book about the end of humanity during COVID, but he reflected on it more, and he felt like it was maybe actually a good time to write a book about like the earth and nature and stuff like that. Um, a lot of people showed their asses during COVID, um, but probably none more so than like
The French.
yeah, the French, Europeans, and Americans. Um, and I mean, Donald Trump is literally in this manga. Uh, he's literally like patrolling the border wall, or like touring
Yep.
the border wall. So it's like this is not a subtle book. It's not like I don't think although Yoshimizu is scared of making those kind of connections. It's like self evident. So I definitely think that's what they were going for.
I agree.
I just think it's really interesting that she's making the most extreme call, like the start from zero, start the earth over again. When I think that most I mean, I guess the extremeness of it is kind of what makes it appropriate that she's white, but like my thought would be like, no, we're gonna I don't know, dump more oil in the ocean. Well, she was doing the like, we are going to show humanity how terrible they are by doing the terrible things that humans do to the earth. Like at the beginning, she had Ashura like burn the forest or whatever.
Yep.
Um, how did you guys feel about the dialogue? I felt like, I don't know if it's a translation thing or what, but it definitely felt a little bit stiff for me.
It's a translation thing.
Yeah.
That is my guess, because it was a little stiff in Ryuko as well. I will say the lettering here is better than it is in Ryuko.
Yeah, that was a sore spot in vehicle.
Yeah, there was some translation of sound effects put in weird places where it's like, I would never fucking do that in my life. in a regular like English localization of a manga, and they were being done in Ryuko, and I was like, I was aghast. It's their choices.
This beautiful art covered
It's
by
like,
this
why
weird
the
lettering.
fuck did you put that right there? What the hell?
Yeah, the dialogue wasn't like a deal breaker. It kind of felt like I was reading something that was translated in 2000, like a kind of old school. And I think part of that is Titan doesn't have a ton of experience with manga. They've done some, but they don't have like, a ton of it. So I think it's just as they grow, they will learn.
Yeah, and we felt similar things with Adam at the beginning, which they also
Mhm.
did. So yeah, I think it's it comes with the territory from Titan's localization, but it didn't detract here. I feel like too much.
No.
One thing here though, was this originally published in Japanese or was it original? Like, what was
No.
the original language?
It was probably originally in French. That is my guess.
Was Ryuko the same? I wonder.
I
I'm wondering.
think-
I'm
I
wondering
think
is it
so.
that it's like I don't know. There's much stuff from French really get published into English in general. Like maybe like I don't know, Fantagraphics or Drawn and Quarterly might do some, but
Isn't there that really famous French comic creator?
Mobius?
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think Humanoids does a bunch of Mobius stuff.
I haven't read him, so I don't know about like how that reads.
Yeah,
but-
I haven't either. But he's been very popular in the comics world, even here in the States. Well, he's one of those artists that,
transcend the world.
yeah, they kind of there's a kind of comics guy who likes Mobius, right? That guy. I don't know how to explain it. That guy.
you know what we were gonna.
I was
you.
gonna say, but I was thinking in my head. You mean Seamus, right?
No, I mean also like my dad. Like there's a I don't know, they're into like, and actually this is not you, Seamus, but like they only read graphic novels. They don't read comics, they read graphic novels. That
What's
guy.
the French name again? You
Bande
said
dessinée.
Yes, that's what they want to
Yeah.
use, of course.
Is that what comics are in France?
Yeah, bande dessinée. I think it's designed like bande is like the panel, almost like a band.
Okay.
Drawn bands.
Okay,
I
interesting.
my favorite is still Italian. It's fumetti, which is like little smoke because it refers to the bubbles, the
Oh,
word bubbles.
That's fun.
That's
yeah,
really cute.
yeah. Fumetti is like my favorite.
I mean, we're a manga podcast, so we have to look at this as like from the eyes of people who look at manga a lot. So, and from those eyes, I would say it looks beautiful, and the paneling is pretty good.
Oh yeah, this picture that Dar has up right now on the stream. I saw that, and I think I literally said, "Holy shit!" like out loud. Like, you can do this with manga, people. It's possible. They don't all have to look the same.
Yeah, but you can't do it on the Japanese manga production schedule. That's
No,
the problem.
Nope,
Yeah.
no, you can't.
You can do this in manga. You just have to publish it in French.
Right? Yeah.
I wonder how they actually did this. If like the landscape in the foreground is actually like a cutout posted on top of the ink blotches.
Could be. Could also be a very precise use of masking tape.
Yeah, like so
I've
they
seen
actually
stuff
put it
like
on
that.
the page.
Yeah, I've seen people do things like that.
It'd be fascinating to see Eldo Yoshimizu's technique.
Yes,
Because
or like
it's very different from, Japanese commercial manga.
yeah, or like using various kinds of resists, like wax.
What type of paper he uses.
Yeah.
If he uses paper at all, if this is from a canvas. I think there's some stuff on his Twitter, so I should take a closer look at that. But it looks great. That's all you need to know, everybody. It looks fantastic. So if you want a visual treat and you don't care too much about the story, you're gonna have a good time with Henkaipan.
But also, if you're really into like Miyazaki and the Lorax, this might also work for you.
I guess if you want more of a traditional like action narrative and like that, you go with Ryuko. But if you just want awesome looking visuals, I might suggest Henkaipan over it. Plus, it's Ryuko is still ongoing, even with the 2 collections that Titan put out. Eldo Yoshimizu is working on a 3rd, so we'll read that in the future. We will, once it comes out. Seamus, is there anything else to say about Henkaipan? Your final thoughts?
I think like Dara was saying, because it's like when I read manga and comics, because I tend to focus too much on the words. Like first time round, I kind of do that, and then second time round, I'm like, we're ignoring the word bubble, so we know what's happening. But this is definitely one where it's like reading a second time round, you're like, who cares about word bubbles, and focusing on the art, you're like, yeah, this is actually way better. When you're like paying too much attention to the story, not enough to just be like, geez, that's some like cool, compelling art. Stuff because I was like, is this? I don't know, if this is as good as Regan. It was like rereading the second time, focus on it. I was like, no, this is. It's just different.
Very nice. What about you, Dar?
Final thoughts?
Yeah, or anything else we didn't mention yet?
I think Eldo Yoshimizu is one of my favorite manga right now.
Ooh, high praise.
I think it helps that they don't have that much manga out, right? So it's like, it's easy to
less to dilute, like
it's easy to hyper focus on the works that I've seen of them. But yeah, it's just like I'm 100% going to be excited and down to read another manga from them. It's just an easy choice for me right now.
Great. And what about you, Morgana?
I was just thinking, Eldo Yoshimizu kind of reminds me of Yoshitaka Amano in a way, where they're both fine artists who are also involved in kind of the comics space or, other more commercial art. But Yoshitaka Amano does not do comics. He
doesn't do like paneling, yeah.
Right. He thinks of himself as an illustrator, I think, more so, or a character designer, more so than a comics artist. So I'm really fascinated by how well Eldo Yoshimizu is able to translate his fine art skills into comics, because it's not easy. It's not the same. There is a different skill involved in paneling and pacing and kind of the visual movement of a comic versus what you'd see in like a still illustration, or he does sculpture, and there are ways to make very kinetic looking sculpture too. So I would love to see some of his other artwork. I haven't looked at it yet, but I just think it's really interesting. Like, I do think of him as being very similar to Amano in some ways, but that is a very distinct difference, where like Amano's artwork is intended to be stationary. It's not intended to have that kind of movement. And I don't know that I want to see his work in comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to see it in still form. So I just think it's interesting, like, Yoshimizu is able to make that jump that not everybody can do.
It's impressive.
Definitely, yeah.
Very impressive. That's great final thoughts by everybody. My final thoughts, I think I already said. Read Henkaipan if you want to see awesome art. Read Ryuko if you want to see awesome art. Okay, and I think that will wrap up our episode and our discussion. So let's go ahead and end the episode. I want to thank Darfox and Morgana and Seamus for joining me this week. If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe to us, review us, rate us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you can find us. Reminder that next week we'll be doing a triple dip on March Comes In Like a Lion, The Darwin Incident, and Real. Look forward to that. You can support Manga Machinations by buying us a coffee. Head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac. Check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. You can join our Discord server to come talk to us. We're still playing Mahjong every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join the Discord by going to discord.me/mangamac. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where we do live recordings of our podcasts like we're doing right now. youtube.com/mangamactv. You can send us emails to mangamachinations@gmail.com. And you can follow us on social media at Manga Mac Podcast. That's Manga MAC Podcast. That's for Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, everything else. And you can follow me on social media at DocZoo. Follow Darfox at Darfox8. Follow Morgana at Morgana Relina. And follow Seamus at Seamus2389. Seamus is spelled without an H. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye bye.